Let's talk now about OAuth and the security layer of our RESTful API. Basically, OAuth is currently the best way to protect our RESTful API because it is an stateless project. OAuth is a very good idea to use when we have a project that does not have a validation based on sessions, like is our RESTful API, of course. So basically, OAuth works through access tokens. An access token is basically a quantity of numbers, symbols, and strings that allow us to uniquely identify a user in our system. Basically, when a user creates an access token through a client or by itself, a personal token, we are going to be able to validate if that access token belongs to any specific user, and in the case of yes, we are going to deal that request as being performed directly from that user. One of the good things about OAuth is that allow us to access to the user data without being the real user. Let's see an example to understand what I'm talking about. Let's imagine that we have a RESTful API for images. It means the user can go create, edit, delete images, and list the images. So to be sure that the user is the owner of the image, we just need an access token to be that. But let's imagine that there exists a service for printing images. So the user needs to print those images through that service. So traditionally, the unique way to go this is the user must provide the username and the user for that service to provide access to the images, and that is completely insecure because that means that that client or that service will do anything that we can inside the system, and we are not going to know that. Now, with OAuth, we can protect the user credentials and provide access to the client if the user authorizes this. Let's see a little about this. This is normally called the authorization code flow. With authorization code flow, the application, it means the client, in this case, for example, the printing service, says to the RESTful API that it needs an authorization from the user. So what our RESTful API does is to return something like a view when the user can't authorize really that application. So if the user authorizes, the API is going to return an authorization code to the client. And with that authorization code, the client can obtain an access token and perform requests like it is the real user. But the client never knows the real credentials for the user. It means the username and the password. This only knows that the authorization comes directly from the user and that the service can proceed, for example, to print the images. It means that we are completely secure and flexible. Now, with the usage of oauth2, we can protect our endpoints with different security levels and provide access to real users or clients of our system. Now the question is, how can we use OAuth in our RESTful API easily? Well, we are going to talk about that in the next class, so see you there.